Hmm. So we're about to start. Peace and blessings, everybody. It is 8 o'clock, and we're going to start on time. This is Meatless Mondays and Motivation. Damon K. Jones, the Health Mindset, and Vital Health Nutrition. And I want to thank everybody for signing on, those who are listening to the different devices. I started Meatless Monday and Motivation so we could have conversation about health and wellness. That's something that a lot of us, especially in the Black community, we are not talking about health and wellness and the need to have conversation about how do we live a healthy life. You know, we have turned around and equated having nice things, nice cars, a lot of accessories in our life, and we have put a health value to that, which that is not the case. Having those things does not equate to having health and mental clarity. And this is why we have so many issues in the Black community, because we have a mindset that is skewed when it comes to our health and wellness. So part of the mission of the health mindset is to try to change the narrative on what being healthy is and why we should have these conversations about health and wellness, in our lives, because we have constantly missed the mark in the Black community. I also stated in the past that, our Black leaders in our community, we have failed to have that conversation about health and wellness in our community. Our pastors have failed to be the stewards of health and wellness in our community. There are those that are now talking about it a little more. Big shout out to my brother in Houston, R.C. Blakes. He's been working out, getting healthy, but that's the example that we need in these days and times, to have those who are leaders in our community start talking about health and wellness. Especially we need it from the pulpit. If we are going to believe in the Bible, God came to give us life in abundance. He did not come to have us be sickly, right? So, the communities that we live in as Black and brown people, they are stricken with chronic illnesses, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular health, bad cardiovascular health. And God did not come to give us those things. God came to give us life in abundance. So if we're going to have life in abundance, right, we're going to have good health, and we're going to eat the proper foods, and we're going to exercise, and we're going to do things that will keep us having good mental clarity when it comes to health and wellness and when it comes to our bodies. So, I wanted to talk about that. So last week we talked about I did a 5-day juice fast, and last week we talked about the importance of giving our bodies a break from time to time in doing a juice fast, and what the importance how important that was, for our bodies to get a rest from eating all the time. You say, well, why should our bodies get a rest from eating? Because, they tell you to eat 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 times a day, but it also takes you 8 hours to actually digest food. Your body is a muscle like every other muscle. Your organs, work. But if you are eating, even small meals, as some of the nutritionists tell people to do, you're working your stomach. You're working your stomach constantly. If it takes 8 hours to digest a meal and you're eating 6 meals a day, right? Your body is not even giving time. I don't care what size the meal is. Your body is not given time to actually digest the meal. So we are having we are overworking our stomach, and sometimes we need to take a break. And the best break is to do a juice fast. Take fruits and vegetables and blend them, and do them 2-3 times a day, and your body can digest it easier and it can get a break. So let's give our bodies a break sometime. Intermediate fasting, and fasting is a good way to give our bodies a break. Instead of eating 3, 4 meals a day, instead of even 3 meals a day, eat 1 meal a day. Give your body some time to relax itself. So I wanted to say that, and another thing for those who are watching, let's not forget. I don't even know how to put it up. On June 8th. June 8th, we are having conversations on Black men at the Mount Vernon Public Library, starting at 6:00. We have a great panel. Please come out. Please come out and support. The moderator is Nikki Toy, and we're going to have a great conversation of Black men's health, Black men's mental clarity, the relationship between Black men and women, and what Black men can do to stop crime and violence in the Black community. So I wish everybody to come out and check that out. So, the next question is, what is the health mindset, and why should any of us even be a part of the health mindset? So excuse me. So the health mindset itself, right? So we have to we have to change our mindset, right? So the health mindset is changing our mindset from a fixed mindset to a health mindset. And what is the health mindset? Health mindset, understanding that everything that we do in our lives is connected: body, mind, soul, spirit. That's the health mindset. Everything we do is connected. Body, mind, soul, and spirit. And from that, we graduate to an abundance mindset. It's, oh man, right? When you talk about abundance, right? When you're acting, when you're actually acting from your mind, body, and your spirit, when you're understanding that everything is connected, a lot of times we don't connect our mind and our body and our spirit because we take those things for granted. We take our mind, we take how we think for granted. We don't control how we think. We allow outside influencers to control how we think. And I say we, and I include myself, until you're mindful, until you really sit down and you think about things that you are told and things, or how things influence how you think. And then you're more mindful of how you think. But even how we think, how our body reacts to how we think. And that's part of the health mindset. How we think can make us sick. And it doesn't even have to do with any type of disease. It's just the fact that we are thinking and we're putting that on our organs. Our organs respond to our brain. And we don't even know that, right? A lot of us just take that for granted. But how you think affects, how you react, even though it's wrong, right? You can have low self-esteem and think everything's against you, and your actions will react on how everything is against you. So, if we come from a fixed mindset and we embrace looking at things differently and looking at things from a healthy mind, not a fixed mind, but a healthy mind, we'll go into an abundance mindset because we'll look at the world differently and we'll react differently. And we will react in a way that it will benefit not only ourselves, but our actions will benefit others. So the first thing you have to do is change what you eat. You have to put the right foods in your body. I said on Instagram one day, I said, look, we treat our cars better than we treat our cars better than we treat our bodies. I'm going to say that again. We treat our cars better than we treat our bodies. And that's crazy. The fact that we do that. Let me see something here. 1 second. The fact that we treat our cars, better than we treat our bodies. And that's amazing. Like you wouldn't put regular gas if you had an 850 BMW. If you had an 850 BMW, you would not put regular gas in an 850 BMW, right? Because on when you open up the gas cap, it says put premium gas only, nothing under 92. So when you go to the gas station with your BMW, you would not put regular gas in the BMW. So why would you put bad food in your body? Why would you put sugars and processed foods in your body if you won't do it to your car? A lot of times we take care of our cars better than we take care of our bodies. A lot of times we put the fuel in our car, we put good fuel in our car, but we put bad fuel in our bodies. And then we wonder why our bodies are breaking down. See, we don't want our cars to break down, right? We don't want our cars to break down. So we put the right things in our cars, and we make sure that the brakes are calibrated, the brakes are done. We make sure that the car's oil is changed. We make sure the car has the proper tune-up, but we don't do that to our bodies. We don't tune up our bodies. We don't cleanse and detox, which is equal to an oil change. We don't do all those things to our body, but yet we make sure that we do all those things to our cars. So maybe what if we had the same mindset on how we took care of our cars to how we took care of our bodies? How will we look then? Right? How we look then? I don't know why I took the whiteboard down. I'm sorry. So how we look then? So changing what we eat is part of our mindset. It's part of the health mindset. Looking at food and the importance of food is part of having a health mindset. Exercising is part of having brother says, and I'm on Instagram too. Brother Jack says, gotta speak about the chemistry of the food that makes food addicting. Other countries outlaw food. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, what's up, Sister Cynthia? How you doing, sis? I see you. Listen, see, but that's part when we're talking about the chemicals that in food and how different countries have outlawed different ingredients in foods. If people have traveled across the world, they will also know that there are some ingredients, in these Burger Kings and McDonald's that they use in America that they can't use in other countries, right? We don't even know that because other countries won't tolerate having those type of chemicals and additives in their food. Yes, and I think that sugar is one of the most addictive substances, and that they have found out how to put sugar in these different foods so we could be addicted to it. But again, right? That's us understanding and putting pressure on elected officials, because these corporations, have lobbyists and give these politicians big money, and then we get fooled by Black politicians and these so-called liberal politicians, that they're really fighting for us, but they're not, because they're not addressing those deep-rooted issues on food. So well, soul food is slave food. Brother Jack says about soul food is killing us, but soul food is slave food. Real soul food is eating fruits and vegetables. But let me tell you something. If you really talk to some of our elders and I'll give them the credit. I'll give them that credit. See, a lot of the food didn't have all the additives and chemicals that we have today, right? So they actually cooked the food was a little more healthier than the soul food today, because they didn't have those type of additives, to put in. So they had so our forefathers actually used, herbs, from the ground to season their food. So a lot of people say, well, how Miss Hattie, lived for 100 and something years? Because her food was fresh out of the ground. Right? Well, we're not talking about collard greens cooked in fat. We're talking about collard greens cooked in proper herbs. All the fat back and all that was what came later. But a lot of times, if you cook collard greens itself is one of the healthiest vegetables that you can eat, but you have to cook it properly. That's the thing. See, we don't cook our food properly because we're caught up. We're caught up in that soul food era. But back in the day, they didn't have all that, right? So hog mogs and all those things was a survival. What was a survival technique, and I'm not holding any of that against those who needed to survive because the slave master kept them from having from having the best part of the animals that they ate and gave them the worst part, so they had to make something good out of a bad situation. But right now in 2023, if we're still eating those things in 2023, then there's a problem. When we have information at our fingertips, information, on big screens, that we could find out what is healthy for us and what is not healthy for us. But if we're Christian people, if we're people that believe in Christ and believe in the Bible, then we will eat fruits and vegetables. We will not be sick. So that's the thing. We understand that they had to do what they had to do. Well, they still packing soul food restaurants because we're not given anything else. Right? We're not giving anything else. We're not giving an alternative because that's what sells. That's what sells, because we're not talking health. We're not talking health and wellness. We're not talking, we're not talking, the connection to fruits and vegetables. And I know great soul food vegan restaurants. Well, we don't. Yeah, Dr. Sebi has talked about powers of the mushroom. Mushrooms are great vegetables. Mushrooms are good vegetables. But the problem is, how many people cook vegetables? How many stores can you find vegetables in? The different vegetables. Right? So the whole thing is, we're not given the resources. As usual, Black communities are not given the resources to eat healthy foods, let alone are they given fresh fruits and vegetables. These are the discussions that are not taking place in our schools. Absolutely. 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 They're not taking place in our schools. So we are not exercising, and we're not meditating, and we're not praying, and we're not making the connect to the mind, body, and spirit, through a health mindset, and then the proper thing is to have faith, purpose, mission, and service of people. We're not talking about that. And that's why our communities are in the conditions that they're in, because of the fact that we're not having these conversations. Well, brother Jack, you know, what you're saying is, and for those who are watching, on YouTube, I'm also live on Instagram. But what happened to home economics? When I came up in high school, they had home economics where they used to teach, when they taught the young boys, to cook, and they taught the young girls to cook, and they taught us to balance a checkbook, and they taught us how to sew a hem in our pants, and all these things that had to do with home. We don't even have that. Black folks pay all these tax dollars to our politicians in City Hall, and we don't even have a class in school to teach our children how to make a home. And then now, sisters, exactly, how to iron a shirt. We used to be taught all that. We used to, I'm saying my age, but in school, we used to be taught all that. And plus, I had a mother that taught me how to sew. I had a mother that taught me that taught me how to cook, because she said, yeah, but exactly. But we're talking about home, right? And y'all sisters that are watching, your kitchen is your medicine cabinet. That's how you keep your family healthy, is the food that you put in your kitchen. See, a lot of sisters want to be boss chicks. They want to be everything else, but they don't want to have a home. And I don't care. I might be old school or whatever, but that's part of it. You just can't be a Uber Eat wife, because you're going to kill your husband if he don't know how to cook within 10 years. You're going to kill him. All you sisters that's listening, if you don't understand the science in cooking and understand that your kitchen is your medicine cabinet, and your kitchen is how you keep your family alive and healthy, you're going to kill your husband. So I hope you got a lot of life insurance on your husband, because you're gonna kill him. See, we're at the era now that a lot of women can't even cook. They can't even cook a good meal, not even for themselves. Can't even cook a good meal, a healthy meal for their children. So what is the point? So what is the point? If you can't even cook a good meal for your children, come on now. And we wonder why we're leading in all these diseases. This is, I mean, how do we do that? And we wonder why your kids go to school with, and then they say they got ADHD and they're bugging out, and your husband ain't got no energy, can't even work a double shift and make money and bring home the money, and you wonder why you got mood swings, hot flashes, hormones is out of control, because you're eating other people's foods. That's why. You're eating other people's foods. You have to start cooking in your kitchen. Let me tell you something. Cooking is part of communion with God. That's the communion. All that stuff you see in church is ritual. All we have in the communion, well, brother, Yes, men need more sex, but men have to do the job before they get sex. They have to, man, listen, I'm about to come out the book of Black Love is coming out next month. And yes, men need sex, but give me food. Give me food and speak to my soul before some sex. Sex is, once you get over 55, you ain't thinking about doing all that sex stuff. You just want somebody that's going to respect you and love you and speak to you out of love and build you up. Well, yeah, you might. You might, brother. But at the end of the day, you'd rather have a woman that could cook than a woman that could bounce in the bed. Tell you straight music. Give me a woman that could cook. Bouncing on the bed, sometimes you too tired to bounce on the bed, but you ain't never too tired to eat. I tell you that. Straight music. But we have to learn that being in the kitchen is our medicine cabinet, and the food that we make in our kitchen is our communion with God. Ain't nothing wrong with balls dry and belly full, my brother. But back to what I was saying, the kitchen is your medicine cabinet, and the food that we cook out of that kitchen is our communion with God. It's us it's us having a communion every day in the kitchen or in the dining room. But we got away from that as families, right? Because we become so busy in the world of the devil, right? And the devil's secret weapon is the food that we eat. I want y'all to remember that every time y'all put a piece of something to your mouth, that the devil's secret weapon against us is the food that we eat. So when we're not communing with God through our food and in our kitchen, and when the man and the woman, the husband and the wife, the father and the mother, whatever you want to call it, are together in the kitchen, that creates energy, right? That creates energy. When you have the kids in the kitchen, that creates energy. And that energy that creates is how we communion with the Most High. And that love that we cook with, that energy, that love that we cook, we make our food because we put that loving energy in our food, it translates to our family, to our children. See, when you eat out all the time, that person that cooks your food, you don't know their energy. You don't know if they're putting a mojo on you. They could be in there putting a mojo on your food. You'll never know. And you wonder why little Junebug keep bugging out in school and little Shamika keep running away from home. And the husband always got an attitude and the wife always in the mood because you're eating other people's foods. And that person could be putting a mojo on you. So we have to get back to eating in our kitchen. Elijah Muhammad said white people are the devil, which I never disagree with. but the devil himself comes to us in our food. Because our perception of food is not godly. Our perception of food goes against everything that God talks about. Our perception of food does not give us life, it gives us death. And let me tell you, the stats prove it. Look at the stats. Look at the stats. I don't need nothing to prove. Look at the stats. Who's leading in diabetes, chronic illnesses? Who's leading in chronic illnesses? We are, because we're too busy following the devil. Instead of following the word of God. And not only, listen, we don't even have to get religion in it. There's a test. There was a test, and anybody can Google it and pull it up. They took a group of 10 black men. They took a group of 10 black men and 10 African men and switched diets. Now, the 10 African men didn't have high blood pressure, didn't have high cholesterol, didn't have none of that. But the 10 American black men had all that because they was eating the devil's diet, the devil's American diet, and they switched them. After 10 weeks, the African men begin to get the same diseases, and the American black men, their diseases started to disappear. So we're following the devil. We're on the devil's diet. And the devil's diet is in the church. They got the devil's diet. That's why I said it's his secret weapon, because the devil's diet is even in the church. Y'all heard me, right? The devil's diet in the church. And you know why? Because when somebody dies from diabetes, high cholesterol, open heart surgery, and they do the repast, they give you the same food that killed them at the church. You get the same food. So that's how you know the devil's diet is in the church. There was also a report that black men that attended church was more obese than other black men. You could pull that up. You could Google that. That was an article. So the devil's diet is in the church. So how can God come and give us life in abundance, and we're eating the devil's food in the church? Now, this is not a knock against none of the pastors. Absolutely not. But you have to ask that question. So why is that? Why is that happening? So another thing I wanted to talk tonight is about, we have to understand our self-worth. And are we using the right criteria to measure our self-worth? And how do we determine our self-worth? Is it about money? Do we determine our self-worth through money? Do we determine our self-worth because you could fit in some skinny jeans? Huh? We have a Mercedes. How do we, at this point in the communities that we live in, determine our self-worth? And how do we teach our child their self-worth? Right? Do we determine our self-worth through our education? Do we determine our self-worth through our attractiveness? Do we determine our self-worth from our career, our financial situation? Do we determine our self-worth through our possessions, which I call accessories? Or do we determine our self-worth through our success and failures? How do we love ourselves? Do we actually love ourselves? What is the point of loving yourself? Right? If you don't know how to love yourself, how can you love others? How can you love your husband? How can you love your wife if you can't love yourself? How can you even love God if you can't love yourself? Man, Cynthia always putting these big ass words in the comments. I had to look at like, what is she want? Yeah. Yes, it is. But the absolutely. But here's the thing, right? Do we actually understand it? A lot of us, and a lot of us, how we treat our bodies. I would say we don't love ourselves. I would say we don't love ourselves just because we don't get enough sleep. I would say we don't love ourselves because we don't drink enough water. I say we don't love ourselves because we don't take 5 minutes a day to meditate. I would say we don't love ourselves if we don't pray. I would say we don't love ourselves because we don't take baths. Right? So how do we love ourselves? A lot of us equate love from acquiring accessories that we're able to buy nice things. But nice things doesn't mean that someone that purchases gives you all these things doesn't mean that they love you. Right? So how do we create that? What are the keys of loving yourself and to know yourself and to be on the path of the person that you respect? You can't respect anyone else if you don't respect yourself. Understand that we all are amazing people, right? That's the first step, is understanding that you are amazing without all the accessories and all the bling bling. You are an amazing person. And that's half of the battle. See, because when we attach everything else, that's when we lose who we are and the value of who we are. Your self-worth is independent of where you live. It's independent of your position. Your self-worth is the most independent thing to have. But I'm saying this because what we're going to do is we're going to do a program soon called the 30-day process of self-love. And it's going to be a class, and I hope people sign up. And we're going to, it's going to be $2 a day. $2 a day, we're going to meet up. It's only going to cost you $2 a day. And we're going to meet up and we're going to do a whole process, a 30-day process of self-love. So that's $60 for 30 days. And each day is going to be a lesson. And I'm only charging you $2. And the $2 is not for me, it's for you. If you're going to be committed to self-love, to loving yourself. I get nothing from it. I could sit here every day and talk for an hour and post it on YouTube and Instagram. But the question is, are you committed to it? That's why I asked for $2 a day, to make sure that you committed to a process of loving yourself. You say, why just 30 days? Well, 30 days should be enough. If you're serious, because we don't love ourselves. We don't love ourselves enough anymore. We've grown to love everything else, right? We've grown to love everything else but ourselves. So we should take time to love ourselves. The 30 days will be a lot because we're going to take time to know how to treat ourselves, put ourselves on a role of self-improvement without the need of society's values. And it's a whole 30-day program. It's long. We're gonna develop strategies of dealing with stress. We're gonna create a gratitude list. We're gonna clean up our social life. We're gonna do what we love. We're gonna make plans for our future. We're gonna journal. So I bet if you want, go buy a journal. We're gonna learn how to trust our intuition. We're gonna do something for someone else, but keep it a secret. How about that? How about do something for someone else? Don't even tell the person that you did it for. Can you do that? Right? These are great strategies in loving yourself. We're going to admire our body. Wow. We're going to admire the body that God gave us. And we're going to remove the need for perfection. We're going to declutter our home environment. We're going to start reading a book on self-improvement, self-love. And most importantly, we're going to set our intentions on the future. We're going to live in the present. Well, we understand everything that we do in the present is setting an intention for the future. How about that? So I'm putting the course together, and it's 30 days of self-love. Now, you know, I hear a lot of people complaining about this and about that. But the greatest thing we could do is to focus on ourselves and not be worried about all the rigmarole that other people are talking. So as I close, soon I'll have a link to support. Y'all can get the health mindset. Y'all can get the health mindset t-shirts. We got t-shirts, God is in your vegetables. And we also got the Wellness Tribe t-shirts. You know, because everybody that's part of this is part of the Wellness Tribe, where we strive for health and wellness and mental clarity, spirituality, you know, and living a life in abundance. Because if we do all those things, it's almost a guarantee. I'm going to say it's a guarantee that we will be successful in whatever we do. So I want to thank everybody who came on for this Meatless Monday and Motivation, and we will be back. We will be back next Monday. And don't forget, this Thursday, Mount Vernon Library at 6 p.m. Father's Day special conversation with Black men. We're going to have great conversations with Black men. We're going to talk about health and wellness. We're going to talk about Black men being fathers and Black men being part of their communities to stop crime and violence. We're going to talk about Black men's relationships with Black women. We're going to talk about a whole gambit of issues. We're going to try to get in as much as we can within the time that we have. So definitely come out and support. We're going to have food and refreshments. I'm going to have my books there. I'm going to have my vitamins. I'm going to have my teas there because we're trying to create a community of health and wellness. We're trying to give as much information that we can give to people to make conscious, educated decisions on how we can live our lives through health and wellness. So thank you. And as always, stay Blacktastic. God is in your vegetables, and see you next Monday. Peace.